Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the September 10th meeting of the Accessibility Advisory Commission. I am going to pull up our agenda for this evening and I'll take roll, but let me, hold on, let me go back to Zoom so I can share. Sharing is not, oh, okay, sorry, Roger. Now you need to let me share. I made you host. Now you have to give me host privileges back again.
Okay, I think we're all set. Does that work?
Okay, let me try again. Yes, yes, thank you. All right. Can everybody see the agenda?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so our first item on the agenda is to announce that Tracy Sharkey, who's the Grafton Interim Inspector of Buildings, is our new representative from the town. So
Good evening,
welcome.
everyone. Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to learn all about your commission and I'm excited to be here.
Okay, so now that we've introduced you, I think I'll take attendance and make sure everybody is here. So when I call your name, just say present, Roger Trahan,
Present.
Catherine Dupuy,
Present.
Christy Proctor,
Present.
Tracy Sharkey,
Present.
Paul Letourneau,
Present.
and Alexis Henry present. So we are all present and accounted for. All right. So that's the announcement. And Tracy, you're later in the agenda under new business, so we'll give you a chance to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
Okay?
No problem. Yep.
All right. So external correspondence. I think you all got these correspondence, but if you didn't, I can forward them. Anyway, we had an inquiry from someone who is interested in applying for our open position on the commission. His name is Aaron Phil. I did respond to him and sent him, he was, I think, having a little trouble finding the links to do the online application for, the town's site. So I sent those to him. I also did let him know about the meeting this evening if he wanted to sit in as an observer, but I did not hear back from him. So Roger, been here on the commission for so long. If he applies, will we be informed by the select board? How do we find out whether
No, I'm that nerd that goes onto the select board meeting packet.
Oh, you're a good,
And
you're a
yeah,
good citizen.
I try. Usually Amber has the link, the meeting packet the previous Friday noonish.
Yeah,
But certainly by the end of the day for the following Tuesday. So it would be part of the agenda, and then the meeting packet link would show the sort of either internal or external letter of interest in
okay.
that person's qualifications or whatever they included in them. So, I've always been proactive in seeking that out. There's so many agenda items that I don't think it would be feasible for them to reach out to every board or committee or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I just didn't know the process. So what the next select board meeting is, it's next Tuesday?
No, there's one tonight.
Oh, there's
They're
one
off.
tonight.
They're off
Oh.
schedule. Usually they're first and third, and so they may be doing second and third or second and fourth. I don't know. This month is kind of quirky.
But you didn't see him on their agenda?
No, not at all. No.
Okay.
No,
All
no.
right. Okay, so I did follow back with him to say, were you able to find the link and get the, so I will let people know if I hear back from him. He definitely looked like he had relevant, I did get his resume. I certainly can forward it on to people. But it looks like he has relevant experience. But he has to go through the select board, correct? That's the process.
Yep, they're the appointing authority.
Okay, all right. So that's that. Did you all see this email about this gym accessibility article? Did you all get this? I think it came to everybody from Dave Robbins. I have it under new business and we can discuss it, but someone had I think an author who just wrote a article on gym accessibility. Anyway, I have it under new business, so we can punt it until then. And Roger, you sent us the MOD summer bulletin.
Yes, I wasn't sure whether or not, I can't tell if I'm the lone recipient from the
I do not
MOD.
get them.
Okay, then I'm going to have to contact them and say, listen, if they could change their recipient to the commission. I
Mhm.
noticed like 2 weeks post facto that maybe everyone hadn't received that. So there was some good information on increased funding for the annual municipal grant
Mhm.
awards, and also some trainings for employees and things like that,
Right.
and and such. It was, yeah, I think it was there were multiple audiences to that MOD newsletter. And Tracy, were you on the receiving end of that? I don't know if you were on the email distribution list yet.
Yes, I am on the distribution list.
All right. And so I would have sent that out, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago, maybe.
Mhm.
So,
Okay. I put this also under new business because we can talk about it, but
oh,
I
okay.
went on the MOD website and we are not listed. Grafton is not listed as having a commission. So,
They, they are so, I can't tell you the number of times I've called that to their attention over the past 4 years. That they're, for all the information that is kept up to date, we're omitted from being one of the listed towns. And the irony is that I would challenge any other town to be as active as we are.
right, right.
And
There
so,
is a place where you can fill in the information, and most of that information I know, but it seemed like it needed to be a town representative. So I
Right.
do have this under new business. We can actually go
Okay.
to the site
Sure.
and take a look at what's needed if we want, or I'm happy to follow up with whoever would be the appropriate person. It didn't look, maybe I can do it, but I wasn't sure whether I could just do it myself. Anyway, so that's everything for external correspondence, unless I missed something. We can review the minutes for August 12th. Christy, do you
13th,
want me to
13th.
stop sharing so you can pull up your Word version?
Certainly, and just to let you know, it's actually August 13th. We're looking at it. My minutes have already been updated
Oh,
from the agenda, so just to let you know.
oh, thank you. All right.
You're
Well, that
welcome.
was, all right. That's probably just a typo on my part.
That's okay.
All right. Why can't I
Okay.
make you co-host? View
So
pro-
I believe I can share the screen.
Okay.
In fact, yep, I'm allowed to. So let's
Okay.
make
All
sure I
right.
get
Good.
the right one.
Madam Chair, will you accept the motion?
I will,
All right,
Roger.
I move that we approve the draft minutes of the August 13th, 2024 meeting.
Do we have a
Okay.
second?
Second.
Thank
Are
you,
there
Paul.
any noted edits or corrections that I
Yeah,
didn't?
I have a few.
Okay, let me,
Roger, you're so thorough. So
I'm gonna
Thank you for
scroll
sending me
down.
those on the
appreciate.
quick.
Yep, I'm gonna just slowly scroll, or if you have a place for me to go.
So under starting with announcements,
Mhm.
you know, of course, that to change the title to minutes from agenda/meeting notice at the top, but under announcements, 1A,
Right,
our town building inspector, I would include our town building inspector and ADA coordinator, Bob Berger, so we know his dual role and who we're talking about. Yeah, Robert Burt, yep. And then immediately below under external correspondence, 2A Matt Offen, that's 1T in Matt.
Oh,
All right.
I don't even know that.
All right. Under the following page, the two asterisks right there. Beneath that, guest Cody Hurd.
Yes.
He had basically entered as a panelist, but as an observer. But to contextualize it, if you could put Grafton Recreation Coordinator Cody Hurd.
Okay. Is he a coordinator or
He's a
Commissioner.
He's the
no.
coordinator.
It says Grafton Recreation Coordinator is
Okay.
his title on the
thank you.
website. Thank you. And then
And I'll say observer rather than panelist.
was brought in as a
Maybe just say he attended as an observer for this item.
yeah, but he introduced himself, right?
Yes,
Yes.
Was brought in as a panelist for a quick introduction.
Yeah, and that he was present strictly to observe the meeting.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And then under 3 meeting minutes of July 9th. If you could just, all right, discussion ensued, comma, including edits that, without mentioning what the edits were, we typically note that. And then immediately beneath that on the roll call, even though, I mean, it was a 5-0 vote, so you didn't necessarily need to include the yes after each name. But if you can include Alexis Henry's name there.
Her name is there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking, it showed up at the very, very top behind my staple on the following page. I'm sorry.
It's
One
okay.
other-
I'm
I-
there.
I thought you
Another-
missed it. I was like,
the spelling
Oops.
of my name is incorrect. It's a
Oh.
small,
Good
it-
catch.
it's not a capital T, it's a small, there you go.
I thought the T was for terrific, man.
Oh, it is. But
So-
that's, that's something to want to brag about.
All right.
Thank you, Paul. I'm gonna fix it in several places
Okay, thank you.
All right.
right
So,
now. Okay.
do you need me to hold off while you find those places, or will you go back?
No, I just jumped back over to tonight's because he seconded the meeting again
Okay.
tonight. I did a capital T. Okay.
All right. All right. Under old business 4B on the National Night Out, it's South Coast Wheelchair Tennis Foundation, not club.
Yep. Thank you.
Sure. And then under old business 4G, second line, Amber Diffenderfer in the select board / town administrator's office. She's not in the clerk's office. So it's select board / town administrator's office.
Right, because it's Michael in the clerk's office.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
All right. And then immediately under 5A, new business. Matt Offen again, 1T.
Correct.
And then, not that it matters, this is weird. The last thing I had was, and it's maybe neither here nor there, but I only remember this because we joked about it. All right, so under 5C, Catherine Dupuy departed the meeting at 8:04, but I remember commenting that literally 1 minute later we adjourned. And so on here, it has her leaving at 8:04, but we were adjourning at 8:01, but I had us adjourning at 8:18. I don't know. Whatever
Oh,
time it was
That was
like,
that was probably my typo. So
It was probably the month before you were commenting about.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then I stand corrected. You have as much as a geek I am to remember these things. All right. All right, so Catherine Dupuy departed the meeting at 8:04. Then my reference then about the whole 1 minute thing, you're right, Catherine, is incorrect, but then the meeting couldn't have adjourned to 8:01 before you left. And I
Which
had
wasn't all we talked about, right?
I had
It
eight,
was
I
right
had,
after, maybe 8:05.
But then
Didn't
why
we
would
adjourn
we-
right after?
no,
No, because
Catherine
we
is saying,
talked. Yeah, we had a long conversation
no,
about
I had
advertising.
8:18. I had 8:18 on the
Yeah,
minutes,
because
on
look at
the,
how much we talked.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
yeah,
Shows how good my memory is.
so.
Okay, so-
So thank you, Catherine, for correcting me, and because this would have made no sense to me.
Yeah, because
Um,
I was there when you made the comment, so you couldn't possibly have made the comment about me leaving after I had left.
Right.
So,
And so it was 8:18 is what I
Mhm.
had listed on my own notes. So we had a brief discussion of like 15 minutes then. And then, and that was the only, things that I had for recommended edits.
Yeah, let me just go to the top because I changed the title to meeting minutes draft and I'll do meeting minutes approved. I changed it to accepted because I'm anticipating that we're going to accept it tonight.
Mhm.
Or I think it's approved minutes. Not that it
Okay.
mattered. Yeah, that's
I'll do that.
yeah.
Okay.
Um,
All right. So I believe we don't need another motion to accept these approved minutes, right? We already have a motion.
If I could, just, Madam Chair, um, if Christie, without objection to anyone, just so it's not causing any confusion, that, approved minutes, maybe voted 9/10. In other words, that people aren't confusing the meeting date as having been 9/10. In other words, that was the date we approved them.
Sorry, I
Or
had a little distraction.
like voted 9/10, maybe.
I'm sorry,
Okay,
what did you
yeah,
say,
you're right.
Roger? Someone walked in my room.
I'm sorry. Yeah, approved minutes. Yeah, approved minutes voted on 9. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Christie.
You're welcome.
Sorry, Alexis. As you
No, no,
were.
no, it's fine. While this was going on, I had a little interruption.
I don't know why this is the way the town sets it up. This is the way I would set it up, is to put because it's more important to have the meeting date first.
Yeah.
And the
You're right.
action second, but they, for some reason, do it reverse when we get their templates, so. I'm
That's
just gonna-
interesting. I don't recall that we had this minutes voted on date previously. Is that something that we previously did? It's fine. I mean, I'm not
Yeah,
questioning it.
no, I always note the approved minute
Do you?
dates. Yeah,
Hmm.
even when I send it on to the clerks.
I think, perhaps I
Let's see.
don't.
Yeah, so when I
Noted.
just a side note, so when I send it on to the clerks, the only person I CC on that is the chair.
It's
So
me.
do you want to be all CC'd as the commission members? And also, do you want to be CC'd when I send Alexis the draft minutes?
So, yeah, I would make, and I spoke with Christie earlier, and that I had conceded to her that through all the time that you had been clerk, Christie, and sent me the minutes, the draft minutes right after every meeting, and this was like for the past, how long have you been clerk? Like 3 years now? That I was I was just holding on to them. I thought that she was sending them to everyone and that I was simply receiving it as a recipient of our distribution list. And
And you know,
so,
and you know what's funny, Roger? now this explains why every time we come to review the minutes, no one says anything. And you're like, okay, this. Or, well, Bob found a few typos, but
Right.
it was
But,
quite-
I review the minutes, but it's mostly for me to think about what did I say I had to do and
Right.
what's going to be the agenda for next time. And I don't do what you do, Roger, which is this very detailed edit, but I'm happy to take on that responsibility, but I think
yeah,
You're
so
really
I don't,
excellent at it.
thank you. So, and Christy, you really are superb at and efficient at doing these minutes. And so I'll say that I don't necessarily think that the chair has any special standing to be the lone recipient of the draft minutes before everyone else. It's just, I always thought that everyone else was receiving them, and when we receive something, I wish the tech were there, that if we were receiving something as part of the distribution list, that I would know that versus being the only recipient. And
Well,
I
you
don't know,
Can't you tell in the email address when you look at who it's sent to?
Roger
No.
can.
You
It's his-
can't. I
it's his-
can.
It's his disability. I'm
Does
only
it?
kidding people. It's disability humor. Okay, so
Uh,
here's my question.
So that has to do with your email, because I can
Oh.
see, when
Oh.
it comes to the commission versus individuals.
Okay,
And is
Gotcha.
Tracy now added to the group address? Tracy's already on? Okay, thank you, Tracy.
so Tracy, I will say this, and to everyone else who thus far, when I wasn't doing anything, when I in my previous role as chair, that like 10 minutes after each meeting, Christy had the draft minutes to me, and
Amazing.
10 minutes after each meeting also had the approved minutes that we had voted on that night within like 10 minutes. And it was just like this amazing efficient machine, that
Yeah, that's
like,
great. It's nice and fresh.
yes,
in everyone's mind.
exactly. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that's great.
So does everybody want to get a copy of the draft minutes? Because I don't think there's no reason, Christy, you can't just send it to the whole group if people want it, because you would get the draft and then the approved, but the approved also get posted once we've approved them. So I think maybe it's an issue of how much do you want in your email inbox?
Well, I like to have, it's nice to have it fresh to
Mm-hmm.
look at it and everything like that, and then be done with it. And so,
I may as well, everyone. I'd rather have more information go to people than less.
Right.
Yes.
So I think that makes sense. There may be things that need to be corrected that, just Roger or me, aren't gonna catch, so it's good to have everybody look at it.
and I guess we still need to vote.
Yes, we do.
Oh, thank you, yes. So, I'll take roll for all, everyone approving the minutes from the August 13th meeting. Roger Trahan,
Aye.
Christy Proctor,
Yes.
Tracy Sharkey.
Abstain.
Okay, makes sense. Paul Letourneau,
Yes.
Catherine Dupuis,
Aye.
and Alexis Henry, aye. All right, so Christy, thank you. Thank you very much. I am going to go back to looking at the agenda, opening up the agenda and sharing that. Okay, old business, concerns about accessibility at Norcross. I did have an email exchange with Adam. Adam
LaPointe.
LaPointe about this. He's not available tonight, but let me actually it was a pretty quick response. He was obviously aware of the concern that was raised. So Tracy, just to bring you up to speed, there was a parent, I I don't know the person's name. I know I saw the post. I think Roger saw it on the All Things Grafton Facebook page. I don't know if you're familiar with the All Things Grafton page, Tracy. I would assume.
Yes, I'm
Similar
not a
to
member
ours.
though.
Yeah, so there was a parent who posted a concern. I'm sorry, the parent posted a picture of one of the pieces of equipment at the Norcross Park, you know, the newly installed theoretically inclusive, park at
Okay.
Norcross Park on North Street. And this parent raised concern that their child was not able to navigate and climb up this one piece of equipment. So that was posted on, the parent's concern was posted on the Facebook page. I don't remember exactly what the person said, but anyway, last time at the last meeting, Cody from the Recreation Department attended, and we discussed the concern that the parent raised. This is why Cody came into the meeting, you know, observed the conversation. And we had a discussion about it, which is in the minutes. So I agreed to reach out to Adam to see if there was any additional information he could share about this concern. So I'm just gonna open my email right now because it's kind of the easiest way for me to get to his response. So here's what he said, and I can forward this email on to everybody. Sorry that I didn't. He said he had a chance to review the minutes from the 13th. He doesn't have any specific updates to the concerns that the parent expressed, and said because he doesn't have the person's contact info, he was not able to, you know, reach out to the person themselves. But here's what he said about the structure in particular. The particular element that is pictured in the post is on our 2 to 5 year old structure. The reason why there are no railings on this piece of equipment is because that element is meant to be crawled up using the handholds that are sort of built into the, you know, that are right above the footholds. So it's intended to be a piece of equipment that the kid crawls up. The Parks Department has on their radar to brush off or blow, and this is a separate issue, but he also says the Parks Department has on their radar to brush off or blow off the playground fiber at their, you know, that when they can, you know, because I think that creates a little bit of a you know, a potential challenge for kids to navigate the park. That's really you know, that's the substance of what he has said. You know, he says if we hear about any other concerns, either through social media or any other way, we should let him know. And that's about the extent of his response. I don't know that, you know, and I mean, I think that explanation makes sense to me, just in terms of, you know, the expectation around how that piece of equipment would be used by a kid. I don't know what other people think. Don't really know if there's anything else for us to do. Roger, are you?
I would say that it didn't seem, again, this is talking as a 58-year-old, not a 3-year-old. Although sometimes people, I wonder
Are you
myself.
that old?
Yeah, right. All right. So maybe if there's any ambiguity in it, and we don't know how often this is occurring, but it seemed that it wasn't steep enough looking that it may be considered a sort of quasi rock climbing wall for little kids. It looked more like a ramp.
Yeah,
And
it's a
so
ramp.
it's a ramp.
As I recall the picture, it's
and
not
so-
a rock climbing wall. I thought it was a ramp so they could access, like like a slide. I assume there's something at the top of that ramp.
Right, but I think it was a ramp, but did it have, what were the elements on the surface? Were there bumps or were there, were
Yeah,
there, I forgot what the picture looked like, but it didn't seem that if I sat there all day, I would probably expect kids to be walking upright up that, not on all fours, that's all. And so that is apparently what the parent would have thought and was looking at that feature as something that a kid would be walking up and something that should have had handrails in that context. And maybe signage would maybe seek to clarify that it could be used as either. If it's that unsloped, it may be used as either, and maybe some signage could be, put up there.
It does
Or-
raise a lot of questions. The degree or the angle of the slope, how old the child was who tried to access it. All of those things are important. So we don't have all the answers to the questions that have not been posed.
why?
I'll just weigh in that it seems to me from that there's a lot of vendors in this space that are hawking their wares that are, some are better than others at designing things to be more accessible.
Yes.
The fact that something ends up in a placed on an accessible surface or planted there, I've seen varying degrees of accessibility regarding these types of surfaces, regarding their running slope, their width, and things like that. And so I think we'll we'll probably continue to see a broad range of pieces of equipment that are advertised and that we may probably want to take a harder look at as we're shopping when we're building these spaces. I mean, we saw it in the rubber mats. You remember that? The rubber mat discussion from a few years ago, and now they're completely overgrown, and whether you use them inside or outside of the play areas and things like that. And so I would say though that I think it was Christy who made an absolutely valid comment that there's not a one size fits all, and that what may be accessible for one kid is not accessible for another. I know that my comment was that when we were seeing these schematics with the prior recreation director, it was in sort of like a cartoon form, in 2 dimensions, that when we saw it from above and there were 2 different colors, that the tan was not poured in place surface, but that represented mulch. And I think that's where some of the discussion kind of just ended, that we really didn't bring up the issue of mulch being a concern because mulch was not brought up. I thought, and I think we all thought, that the tan in the schematic was poured in place surface, not mulch. But it's also my understanding that even if you have mulch, that shouldn't be a route to an accessible piece, that you had to have that contiguous, that if you're going to have an accessible piece, that it has to be on an accessible route. And I'm not sure that that's entirely the case here.
So how do we find the information that you're bringing up? Do we ask the Parks or Recreation Department?
I mean, I think the architectural access, someone like Jeffrey Dugan, who's our person at the MOD, not the AAB, but the MOD, could give some insight. I think the playgrounds are apparently seem to be less black and white regarding some of these discussions versus doors and things like that. I don't know about you, Tracy, about whether you see more internal and accessibility features being brought up, and walkways and doorways and turn radiuses versus accessible parks and playgrounds.
A lot of parking and doors, yes, and access ways and egresses. Did this project come in front of your commission?
It did. Well, it did. And we actually endorsed it. And I actually was the one who spoke in favor of it on behalf of the commission at town meeting. And I think it's a great space. I think it's a great space. But as one local disability advocate had shared with me, and I'll quote him: Grafton loves its mulch. And so I you know, there's no going back. I just wish
Right.
that it didn't even occur to me that when we were having this discussion that it was going to be accessible and that poured in place surfaces were going to be the component. I didn't realize that they were only one component, and that the tan, you know, you're looking at two flush surfaces. One was, I forget what the color was, and the other was tan. And I thought those were just a combination of two poured in place surfaces of different colors. The tan
Okay.
represented mulch. And I think looking back, I think I would have said, you know, timeout, you know.
Yeah.
The other thing is that another valid concern is that there are people who have told me that in spite of any accessibility concerns regarding mulch not being an accessible surface, that their concerns were equally valid regarding environmental exposure of too much of these chemicals, and that they actually liked that the poured in place surface was offset by mulch, and that their kids weren't being exposed to all this stuff. So
Well, I do think the placard identifying the age group intended would be a good idea, because I just took a little peek at the website for the plan to see that ramp like the crawling area. And I think you've got a wide range of age groups, 6 months to 12 years within that park. And I think it's unreasonable for anybody to think that 6 month is going to be as accessible as the 12-year portion.
Right.
So I think I have seen the placards where this is intended for this age, is intended for this age group. And there's a wide range of, that's a really wide range for ages to not have each item identified, each
Right.
structure.
Right. And it's a small park.
Yeah, I see it.
It's
Yeah.
not like a huge playground, and that, I've not personally gone into the park to try every piece of equipment there. But the one picture that I saw on the Facebook, this ramp, you could imagine a 2-year-old climbing up that and a 12-year-old running up it and jumping off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And standing upright. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
just running up it, not needing to
Mhm.
crawl, running up and leaping from whatever's, it's an elevated structure, it's probably not all that high, but I don't even know, is there a slide? Does it access a slide? I haven't even seen what you get after you get to the top of that ramp. I had assumed based on the Facebook picture, I live right down the street from it. I should, just go look at it more closely, that, it led to some sort of slide.
I see the back side of it on our website.
Yeah, I was digging around
And
the website while we were talking and it's a little
There's
hard
a-
to get a really good picture.
yeah, there's a platform at the top that has 3 sides. And then if you were to look at the third photo, I think that's the back side is the third photo on the right corner,
Yeah,
that brown. So I think identifying the ages of each structure would be
yeah.
helpful. It's so varied. It's unreasonable without identifying each item,
Right.
which
And I don't,
children can have accessibility to them.
but so maybe that's something to suggest to the rec department, some signage, some explanation for parents.
Yeah.
Do
Um,
these have, is there no signage? I will,
Sure.
one of the, what I think is a really good example of a really nice space that does include the age group signage is there's a park at the corner of Blythewood and Massasoit Road in Worcester.
Yeah, that's a great park.
Yeah,
Yes.
right near the Audubon.
Yeah, it's an excellent park.
And
Mhm.
so that's an example of something where, um, the signage, this clear signage about what age groups there are.
Mhm.
That space used to be a primary school. For, it was a school there at one time.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess the other question is, through you, Madam Chair, I don't know if Tracy it would be appropriate or what we think about her maybe reaching out to Adam regarding the other aspect or thought that came to me is that when these pieces of playground equipment, they're built and they come with instructions and they're assembled in certain ways. You can't just wholesale necessarily retrofit everything, even if you find a way to find a cure to something or find a way to address an issue, about whether it avoids warranties or whether when we sort of rig things up, whether that adds additional risk or liability on our part that, we may try to be doing good, but we want to make sure that we are and we're doing it in the right way that doesn't put anyone, including the town, at risk as far as retrofitting these things.
Are you talking about the signage?
No, the equipment, if they're like, well, not the signage. I guess maybe the signage could be freestanding. But I'm referring to like, if we were to say, if we could tomorrow add railings to this thing and know that that would be affixed to something, whether or not that could be done or whether that should be done, that this equipment may not be designed to be retrofitted. You know what I'm saying? That
And I think, Roger, I guess I'm thinking back to the point that Christy made. So conceivably, you could do that and then make it inaccessible to somebody else. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, I think that's the challenge. Particularly when we're talking about something that's sort of newly constructed and, just within the last, how old is that revision to the park? A year?
right,
It's about a year old,
right.
Maybe it's more kind of, what can be done to increase information for parents about, how to use the equipment, and then how do we make sure the best universal design principles are applied going forward? I don't know. I mean, I just, if we raise, well, you should do this for this piece of the park or that for that piece of the park, we might be creating.
So who decides what age group this stuff is for? When we bought it from the vendor, is there, some type of, does it come with a cheat sheet that says this is for 2 to 4-year-olds?
Right, it
typically?
should. It
I
should
assume
come with that.
it did. This all happened before I joined the commission, so.
It should happen.
Yeah,
Ish.
so if, yeah, oh, Paul, are you trying to say something? Sorry, I didn't want to
Yeah,
interrupt.
they should have gotten some instructions or some information from the company that manufactured it. And it should have been done in the form of signage for the public to observe and see and be able to use it correctly.
So it does list the different structures. So they do have that as far as on the Parks and Recreation page. So they have, they're calling out the structures and the age groups. So I don't know if there is signage at the entrance with labels, but I know that there's most likely there was a lot of people that put eyes on this park,
Mhm.
and I think the appropriateness, the age appropriateness should just be addressed and nothing modified as far as the structures. I would think that there would be signage at the entrance designating, because there is a chart on their website and it's actually calling out.
Do you want to share that, Tracy? Do you
Sure.
wanna All right, let me stop sharing this and maybe you can share with us what you're looking at.
Okay, sure. All right.
Is there a process in the town where whoever looks at procuring equipment makes sure that certain standards are met or that it's accessible equipment? I'm just wondering, is there a purchasing department or does everybody purchase their own things?
I'm not sure what the method is for the recreation department,
Okay,
but I'm seeing there's a lot of documentation.
Right.
Let me move the,
I mean, this was a wholesale redesign of Norcross. It wasn't just adding equipment, right? The whole existing park was torn up and this new.
I think
was.
it's a huge improvement. I know that I oftentimes have my devil's advocate cap on, so I don't want to be poo-pooing the whole thing. I think it's a huge improvement. I've heard some amazing feedback that this is so much better than what was there before.
Right, so that, I mean, it was not a small change, it was a wholesale redesign of Norcross, so. You know, that, I would assume that process, it's more than just buying a piece of equipment, right? There was a whole planning, I mean, the rec department, but who else in town would have needed to sign off on this? And I'm sure that the issues related to inclusiveness and accessibility were at least addressed and thought of. I mean, I know it was part of the discussion. I came in very late. I joined the commission when kind of it was a done deal.
so I checked to see if there was a building permit issue. There was not, so may have not triggered that, but they do have some really good information for the public designating
Yeah,
what is available at that location.
yep.
So that makes me believe that it was there are designated some sort of designation
Mhm.
of which structures are.
Right, there's the picture, but it's a little hard to see, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
No, there it is.
You missed it. Trying to use my, so
I think it's that.
Oh,
You just,
yeah.
Oh,
you just scrolled right by it.
those are the pictures I'm talking about, that tan.
It's this
tan-
thing. It's this little, yeah, that piece.
right.
So
So-
all of that tan is what?
mulch.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Yeah, all the
Thi-
tan is mulch, but we're talking about two different things. We're talking about
Right.
mulch and we're talking about the concern that the parent had. And it's that, yes, it's exactly that piece, which obviously this is a schematic. That piece was,
It looks like it has
Yeah, it looks like there's a slide. you
steps,
know, you can-
not
Yes.
steps, but
But I think what
footholds.
Adam was saying, sorry, right, see those, what look like bars kind of going across?
yes, yeah,
That these are handhold opportunity,
right.
not for a 58-year-old Roger, but for a baby. Like for a 2 or 3-year-old, little
s-
hands.
I
crack
sneak in there and I
onto
sneak in there at night.
This is the backside. And it
Yeah.
looks like there is a
a
slide.
slide, yeah. So, hold on a second. Just, sorry, closing my door. Music. On a 2 to 3-year-old, it might be perfectly fine crawling up that thing.
So it's it met all these goals.
Yeah,
It's probably was reviewed by many people.
says goes above and beyond ADA requirements. So,
And I don't know if the Architectural Access Board, the Mass Architectural Access Board, has in their regulations about playgrounds, because it's always the stricter of AAB versus ADA. Sometimes they're the same. It's just that the in Mass you have to go by the stricter rule, and so so I don't know if the AAB speaks to parks and playgrounds and their
I don't
regs.
recall it does. They could be adding it, but I don't recall. I could
Right.
just quickly look it up.
So again, we endorsed it as a commission based on the information we knew at the time. And so we'll see how this plays out. And as long as the maintenance too is that, whether through leaf blowers that the mulch stays off the board surface, and then
Mhm.
see how this is generally received in the long run.
mhm.
And who's responsible to maintain those surfaces?
The Parks Department.
Okay,
There's like a maintenance, that's actually Adam addressed that.
Is that
in his
DPW or?
email. Yeah, the Parks Department has on their radar to, brush off the solid surface.
Mhm.
break the mulch.
Yeah, to take so that it, you don't have an impediment to using it, but. So I don't know if we have any specific next steps, maybe just,
So the AAB does include playgrounds. Under recreational facilities.
And this is sometimes we saw this with the rubber mats. I think it was a vendor in Connecticut that will have out of state folks that are selling us stuff that we keep on hearing ADA, but it's really the stricter ADA and AAB.
Mhm.
And we rarely see AAB thrown around, and I think sometimes there's a chance that the stricter, more accessible AAB standard could be overlooked, because everyone thinks, a lot of people don't know that there's an AAB. They only know of ADA.
Right,
Everyone knows the lingo, and so
It does say an accessible route shall be provided to reach playground equipment and around the playground. And I'm not sure if that's the extent of it. I'm just gonna double check.
I mean, I think it looks like that in principle is what's going on at Norcross, that there is there's a route to get to the equipment. There's issue with how much of the area, how much mulch is there. It's like
Yeah, that's
some
the
of that
limit in
open
the
space could be
AAB.
used for something else, but, I guess I'm not sure that we'll be able to answer that question about,
Right.
any individual piece of equipment being fully accessible to all
Right.
different types of
Right.
people, you know, because make it accessible for one could make it inaccessible for
Right.
another. So you try to do the greatest
Yeah.
good possible.
And I think only looking at the whole one on Blythewood and Massasoit that between parents and grandparents that bring the kids there, that I think when you look at everyone that's going to go in a space, not just the kids, that the picnic tables and the benches are an equally important feature to that space as the structures when taking into consideration parents and grandparents and others who would be sitting nearby or watching those kids, that every
Mhm.
structure, even if it's not a play structure, ideally should have an accessible route. And so I'm inclined, in spite of the environmental concerns, to embrace more of what we saw at Blythewood, which is entirely poured in place versus
Yes.
versus a combination of poured in place and mulch. That's all.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything that I would recommend. I just don't think the resources are there. And although not to sound, I'm not making light of anyone's complaint in their experience, but I'm not aware that the issue and regarding accessibility has been widespread.
Mhm. Right.
Also, we don't know if a railing would be as used as the handholds that are on that ramp now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that,
Yeah.
maybe Tracy, just a conversation with Ad. I mean, I don't know what signage is there, but if there could be some improved signage,
Okay.
you
Yep.
know,
I was trying to get a
just a
Google
tab.
Earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. We
Yeah.
can ask, of course.
I'm just, as we're talking, I'm remembering back to what not just the prior Norcross Pro playground looked like, but the one way before that, 30 years ago when my son was a baby. It was like dangerous. It was a very high slide, which he
I
fell off
was
back.
seesaws there. I got thrown off the seesaw there one time, and I still have trauma about it.
The
So
seesaw, the 10-foot slide.
it was terrifying.
He climbed up and fell all the way back off and bumped his head. The swings, I mean, we've come a long way from what that playground originally, 30 years ago, what it
Good
looked
to
like.
hear. Good to hear.
There's actually a picture of me with my son as an infant that made it into the TNG.
Woo.
Pushing him in a swing at the old Norcross Park. Anyway, moving on. All right, I'm gonna share the agenda again. Okay, here we go. So ADA grievance procedure, Christy, it seems like we did the piece, but I don't know whether there are any next steps.
Roger was gonna run this through the forms site. Remember, there's the town site where all the forms are kept.
Right.
That's where
You
he
said
was
me?
going.
Did you say me or
No, Bob
Was
Berger.
it Bob?
Bob Berger?
Right.
Bob Berger. So that's because we don't have access to that. We're not employees.
Tracy, maybe we should give you a
Hi.
second assignment.
So you're talking about OpenGov.
Yes.
So the commission is requesting a method for a citizen to file a complaint or a grievance. And let me take a peek. So do you have a form that you would like to use?
We
A
gave it to Bob
template.
Berger. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you
Would
have
anyone-
it, Christy?
Would anyone be able to share it with me?
I will try in a moment.
Okay. No rush. No rush. So let me see if we have anything in the portal. So we call it a portal. And let me just take a peek.
And it was going to be a fillable field form.
Yes. And do you know which department he was gonna place that under? Was he gonna make you guys your own commission?
It should have gone under him as the ADA compliance officer. In fact, Tracy, I pretty much did part of his job for him.
Okay. Let me just take a peek if we have anything.
And then let me see if I can find it for you real quick.
I do not have any draft forms, but I can certainly work to make that available for the public to file online. So we have one for zoning, building complaints, and building complaints, so similar, I believe.
So
Okay,
that should have been, I'm just gonna look to Robert Berger, Grafton dot, yeah, let me see.
Let me see. I actually have it, his email available to me. Who was it from you?
Yes,
Okay, let me just
And- and I don't think I sent it to his Grafton dot, Roger, what was the website or his email address instead of grafton.gov?
Grafton-ma.gov? Who are you
Yeah.
referring to?
Bob
Bob.
Berger.
Bob Berger.
I don't know if it's Burger R at grafton-ma.gov.
Okay, yeah, it's not there. Let me just look for the grievance. Here it is, draft grievance in template 2/2024. Let's see if I can find it.
from February?
Yeah, February 20th, 24.
Okay.
So Word doc. And it's coming up on my SharePoint.
February 20th. He has a lot of emails.
No, I understand. Let me go through Word. Let me try one other way.
I do not have it from the 20th to 2024.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have that.
Christy, were you saying that you thought he used an email address that wasn't a Grafton email address?
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah, would
Um,
have been like Robert.Berger.
Like
Or
a
the
personal, did
the
he use a
commish,
personal
yeah.
email address?
Yes.
I thought it was Burger R at grafton-ma.gov, and that I think that's the way everything goes, right?
Okay.
Like is yours like Sharky T
Yes. But
at
he had 3 emails.
oh geez.
yeah, he did.
Well, yeah. So you're talking recently. This
Okay.
would have been a 23 or 24 document.
Let me go back out to one other. Let me go to Teams. Let me go to Forms. Let me jump out of, I don't want Google Forms. Let me try
Would it be under
Microsoft Forms.
building department at grafton-ma.gov? I mean, there's a generic one too, right?
Or
Yes.
did he use a personal email? Maybe
Oh,
that's what that's what I interpreted it as that.
I do not see anything from K Proctor at qcc.mass.edu. I do not see any emails.
Okay, let me try one more place. Sorry, everyone, it's just taking a second
Not a problem.
because I have my school account, my non-school account. It just makes life so much fun. I'm gonna sign into one more account because I'm working from home. I have to do an authentication. Let's see if I can get in without doing it. I want to go to my forms. Yes. Okay, didn't have to log in. Okay. Hey, it's loading. Hold on. Filter. Nope, it's not coming up as a grievance. So I must have done it on Google then. I just want to make sure because there are a few different places.
Hey, Catherine, I mean, you can search for it and maybe send it to Tracy separately.
Yep, that's fine.
I'm just, you
Does
know,
Catherine have it?
I do remember we did do something with a Google Doc though,
Okay.
because we tested it.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought.
right. But why don't you just, I mean, I don't think it's something that has to be addressed this minute, so you could search for it, you know,
Hmm.
in a moment when you're not also trying to do the minutes. And, you know, and we can all
Got it. I got it.
there you go.
Okay. So is it okay if I share it real quick?
Sure. Let me stop sharing here.
Okay. And I'm sorry, you're gonna laugh, but let's see. I have too many things open and I just lost you. Here you are. Okay. Sorry. I have two Zooms open. Don't ask. Okay, here comes the share. Because one's a webinar. Here we go. So this was made, Tracy, with
Yep.
the intent that Bob would take this
Mhm.
and amend it for for the town. So it has all the language of the purpose, the policy. Again, the town doesn't have a template for putting these policies in place. All the information that's the content is taken directly from the current policy. There was nothing changed from the content, but what we added now were the ways that people could fill it out so that this would be a fillable form. It would
Mhm.
be easy to do. We would
Mhm.
ask for the email address and then the information, instead of having to write it in, they could just do it this way. And we also included a short answer in case there was something else.
Okay,
And
no
then
problem.
and then back here, Tracy, I just want you to see number 2. We discussed all the ways that we would try to be accessible, and we would do this with large print, braille, audio tape. We would do this as a way so that no one could say that you have to do it one way. We were being as flexible as possible.
Okay. Would you
I'll
also
send that-
like,
I'm
yeah.
gonna send that to you now.
Okay, great. And I noticed, so on our website, we don't have the form.
I'm not
So are-
surprised. Yeah.
So,
Right, it seems like that never happened. That was
okay. So in addition to being able to file the grievance through the online portal, do you think that we should have a PDF, a fillable PDF that someone can,
No,
uh,
that's actually more accessible than the Google form. This was just the template, and then Bob was going to put it in an accessible town format because I don't own an Adobe Acrobat PDF maker. So he was going to do that through the town.
So there is the OpenGov, but you also want this PDF form, a fillable form on the website.
Right. In fact, the more places, the better.
Okay,
So that people don't have to search. They can just find one and done.
okay, understood. Yep,
So it could be on our page, it could be on our page, and then also other places.
yes, I'm thinking a clickable link to file, and then you go to OpenGov. You do need to have a login in order to submit something on OpenGov. So that's why some people might not want to sign up to
Mhm.
put the complaint in through the portal. So we could do it both ways.
Okay, so I am putting the link in the chat. If you can grab it from there, that'd be great. Anyone can grab it, so.
I had a question, and I don't recall all the nuance of our discussion that led up to tonight regarding this particular form in the process. But as a town policy, is this sort of mirroring or does the building department or the ADA coordinator, all right, they're one and the same. The inspector of buildings and the ADA coordinator, one and the same, have this sort of sovereign ability to go out and post this, albeit with our input, or is this a subset of select board policy and procedure that they have to ratify? In other words, we're an advisory commission, and so I don't know if we're advising on a final document that needs to be ratified and mirrored as part of the select board's town policies.
So the information that is provided on this is already adopted, correct? So the town of Grafton, the purpose, the
so.
policy. So all of this information, this is coming out of our general bylaws.
Yes, the content, I did not change any of the content.
I can absolutely double check, but I create forms for the building department all the time through the portal. So as long as the content is already approved and we're not making any new rules, I believe that this is fine to make into a form. So, but I can absolutely double check.
And I was referring more to the rules and regs. It wouldn't be bylaws, it'd be select board policy and procedure. And I guess I'm asking the commission whether or not we were trying to tweak the language in addition to the form. We weren't touching the language at all, were we?
No, we were just trying to
No.
make the form more accessible, more usable for people.
It already
Right.
exists, correct?
On paper someplace. And
Right,
I've
it's
never
just-
seen a paper version of it.
Never
I-
seen it.
We've
No.
never seen it.
Right, this all started with just trying to make it as accessible as possible without
Right.
changing any of the town policy, language, anything.
I can absolutely confirm that.
Great. Great. Maybe we can
Good.
check this off our old. That's my goal. 'cause it's been
Tracy,
sitting
don't
on-
leave
It's
us.
been sitting on our commission business for too many months. I
Oh,
want to
no.
check it and remove it.
And you know, Tracy, I think it speaks loudly to the fact that we do need an avenue of communication, and unless people know who we are,
Mhm.
really their needs aren't, or their issues aren't really respected by the town and viewed as valid. Instead, it comes through really various forms. And
Mhm.
I'm going to give an example for everyone. If you go to Harvard Graduate School of Education's website, on every page there's a button, and the button says, click here to report an accessibility issue. So they look forward to and anticipate that there will be issues, but their goal is to make things as accessible as possible. we don't have that value really showing or being faced forward in this town. And that's why we're just trying to move the needle, just getting this form in quite a few places. And some people would say, well, gee, you're going to be collecting a lot of complaints. Great. Let's get them out there. Let's
That's what we
be
need.
responsive.
Right,
Yeah.
communication and awareness of any issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
well, we can work on that. Yep,
you.
absolutely.
Great, thank you. All right, let me go back to our agenda. MOD ADA improvement grant. I checked the MOD site. I did not see any notice of the FY25 awards. So I
And
saw
I
the
will-
24, but not 25.
And I will mirror that. I went on tonight and just as we discussed the last meeting, there was nothing.
Right.
Um,
I mean, the deadline, we know the deadline for the applications has passed, and Tracy, unless you know whether the town was awarded.
no,
I'm
we
not
would've-
aware of
Yeah.
any
would've known.
awards.
We would have known.
Yeah,
But I'm gonna email Jeffrey Dugan again. And I'm
or
playing
just
with my
when will they
iPhone
make
right
an
now.
announcement, you know?
I think they already have. In other words, they don't affirmatively tell you that you haven't got.
Right,
Because
right.
there's
They only tell you
typically
if you
about
got it. And there's
right.
probably a delay between informing people, you know, informing towns that have gotten it and when they actually post the information. So we
Right.
probably didn't get it. But
I don't think we did.
it would be nice, because I think the FY24 list that I saw was pretty long. There were a lot of towns that got
They
stuff.
try to do a lot with give a lot of the requests are not big ticket items. And so
Yeah.
that's not to say they limit themselves to small ticket items. But they were playing with 2 million a year for 5 years. I think
Mhm.
this is the last year of that $10 million chunk of money that they decided would be divvied out 2 million each of 5 years. And so I'll email Jeffrey Dugan right now as a follow-up, but also I look forward to how much money is going to be on the table for this new round of municipal grants. I don't know how much I don't recall reading what the dollar amount was.
I don't remember. I looked on the site, but I actually don't remember.
But it was significantly more. But then
Yeah.
again, I think these things are cyclical, and so they're given a chunk of money and told, all right, this is 3 years worth of money, and then they don't want to plow through it all at once. So
And it's never enough, to be honest with you,
right, no, it's not.
Right.
for infrastructure or anything of significance. So.
Right.
I have to bow out for the rest of the meeting. I want to watch the debate.
The
between-
debate,
yeah.
the debate doesn't start until 9,
Doesn't start
but you're
until
watching.
It starts at 8 o'clock.
No, the preview starts at 8.
Really?
There'll be talking heads for an hour.
Yes.
I-
If you want to see the talking heads, not to poo-poo your,
Yeah, yeah.
No,
There'll be,
motivation.
there'll
Yeah,
be
okay.
talking heads for an hour. No,
Oh, all right, then I'll
exactly
wait.
the same. Paul. I
Okay.
want to watch the
All
debate
right.
too.
Yeah.
But
hey, that wasn't bad. I talked to Paul out of leaving.
Yeah. No, I
You
just
watch
want to
our
make sure I
talking head.
watch.
Paul.
I'm anxious to see these two folks duke it out verbally.
should be an
I'll bring the
interesting night.
popcorn. I have my popcorn, so I'm ready.
Yeah, I got peanuts.
So
Yeah.
so so I'll email Jeffrey Dugan and then follow up on, all right, when the next grant cycle is, because just because they've done it certain times of the year doesn't mean that they have to do the same cycle. Just like they made the deadline and the announcements. I thought their goal was to make the announcements before the end of the fiscal year. They used to do it in October. And they made it toward the end of the current fiscal year.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
so,
Thank you, Roger.
all right, sure.
Okay. Moving on, Grafton Common parking. I took some pictures. I sent them to Roger.
I'm gonna post them. I'm gonna post them on the Facebook sites and let people know that of the new and improved
Parking space.
accessible parking space on the left of that entrance versus the crater with the chunk of metal grating or whatever that that gas line was sticking out. It's a really much improved space.
Yes.
So-
So Tracy, there was a ADA, a handicap parking space on the Grafton Common, on the side of the common that's right across from the Congregational Church.
Yes.
But it was the pavement was, it was all kind of torn up, and it made it not that great, not as inaccessible. Like if you were actually using that space and coming out of a van with a wheelchair or something, it was definitely problematic. So we had a lot of discussion, and Bob was looking into whether the street could be repaired. But what happened is they just moved it over. So they did away with that space and created a space kind of on the other
Perfect.
side. It's right by the entrance, one of the entrances to the common.
Great.
So it is
That's perfect.
a simple,
Yeah.
relatively simple
paint.
solution. I think that part of the road, I don't know if that part of, because so many of the town roads are being improved over the last couple of years, if that area is going to get redone at some point, but it needs it.
Yeah, probably. That's great. That was a great solution.
Yep. Yep. Next, this is on me. I lost track of this. So I am hoping to get something at least on our page about October being National, I never know exactly who it's National Disability Employment Awareness Month, or it's National Month for Disability Employment Awareness. I never remember the order of it, which I should, but October is National Employment for People with Disabilities Awareness Month. Those words are all in it. Can't remember the exact order, but I was looking for some kind of visual, and there are some things, because it's comes out of, I think it comes out of the Department of Labor, federal department, might come out of the Department of Ed. I'm actually not sure. And there were some kind of poster things. I wasn't quite sure whether it was something that we could fit on our site, but I will follow up with Amber about, there is a visual, there's a kind of poster brochure kind of graphic for this year, for 2024, on the National Employment for People with Disabilities Awareness Month, which is October. So I'll get that to her. I know we talked about having something sort of larger on the town web, the sort of front page of the town website. I don't know if that's a possibility. But I'll follow up with that. Any other old business that I'm not?
I
didn't-
don't know.
I do
Oh,
have
I'm
one
sorry.
thing.
Yeah, go for it, Paul.
Yeah.
I'll wait in line.
Last year, we were late in applying to be involved in the Christmas on the Common. And we
Oh,
couldn't
right,
get
it's
in.
coming up.
Yeah, so I don't know what we would like to do, but if we're going to do something, we need to apply soon.
Grafton celebrates the holidays.
Right.
Probably the first, is it the first Sunday in December?
I don't know. I don't remember what
Yes.
it was.
I think it is.
Yes, it is.
And it comes through the rec department, right?
Correct.
And is it where is it celebrated mainly?
So we
All over
really
town.
need to put that under other new business items.
Okay,
Yeah, but thank you for bringing that up. Paul. Thanks.
You're
for-
welcome.
Yep. If nothing else, I'm gonna move on to our new business. Okay, Tracy, we've already given you a couple of assignments. We're so glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I started in the town of Grafton in November as a local inspector. Before that, I was in a general contracting company for about 16 years. And I also served as the chairwoman of the Conservation Commission and chairwoman of the Planning Board for my town. So I'm pretty well versed on how these meetings go, and I'm used to doing meetings at nighttime. So Amber had asked me if I would be willing to be the select board's appointed. And I said, yeah, sure. So I do take a lot of there is one person in particular that does notify the building department about restriping and signage that's missing. So there is someone that I'm familiar with that will notify us of those types of complaints. So, and I go in, I inspect them as well as my other local inspector, and I'm excited to learn more about what you folks do.
That's
Great,
great.
well,
Any
welcome.
questions for me? I'm pretty accessible. So any questions that anyone has for me, I'll take those and try to find the answers for you if I don't have them.
Great, I
Thank
think
you,
we're really happy
Tracy.
to have you.
You're welcome.
It's neat to have people step right in and just like be up and rolling. You know what I mean? Like having someone with your background who just like also knows committee work and then the evenings and the commitment and just how to navigate things. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and I
Just-
appreciate all of you volunteering your time, because that's how these things work. Everybody sacrifices and it makes for long days, but it is rewarding and it's necessary also.
It's part of a strong democracy, I think.
Yes. I agree.
So Tracy, are you full-time up at the municipal center?
Yes, I
as
am.
Inspector? Okay, thank you.
Great, well, we're really happy to have you, and I think it's really valuable for us to have a direct liaison into,
Yeah.
with someone who works for the town.
Yeah, boots on the
They ask
ground.
you to
and
answer questions that are even outside, a little bit outside of your purview, but
Yeah, no problem.
sometimes. Well, great.
Okay, it's
and
8, so
what-
I have to take my leave. So,
And what
Oh,
not-
Catherine, yeah,
Thanks,
do you always have
Catherine.
to leave at 8?
well, the space I'm in, I, leave at 8. So,
Okay,
my ride's here, so I'll be calling
All right.
complaining if I don't.
all right,
Hi, everyone.
okay. Bye, Catherine,
Bye.
thank
Bye.
you.
Take care, Catherine.
I also
Um,
wanted to mention my last name has an E in it.
Yep, got it.
Thank you.
oh, sorry, that's me.
That's okay. Usually the E is in the Tracy and
Oh,
then
yeah.
not the Sharky. So
Yeah.
no
I have a
problem.
sister named Tracy who spells her
No.
name with an E.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. I've seen it that way.
Okay, so article on gym accessibility. Did you all see this? I think it came to everybody. I'm not sure there's anything for us to do with this. It came to us from Dave Robbins. Who says he received this via the IT committee's email address. Is Dave Robbins on the IT committee? I don't even know who Dave Robbins is.
He's on like every other committee. Dave
Okay, all
Robbins is
right.
on. He's planning board. He's on community preservation committee. He's on
There you go. All right.
like 3 other committees.
Okay, all right. So he said he received it via the IT committee email address, presumably because she, that is the author of this article, thought the IT committee was responsible for the town website. I have no idea whether this would be of any interest to the town, but if anybody would be interested, so he forwarded on to us because it is an article about accessible gyms. Did you all look at the article? Did anybody?
I don't see it. I don't know you're
Here,
referring.
hold on, let me quickly stop sharing. There was a link to, hold on a second. Let me stop sharing what I was sharing and then share this. So this writer, can everybody see this? Bar Ben's Guide to Gym Accessibility.
Yes,
This is the article in question. So this was written by Jessie Zucker. And I'm assuming that she sent it out to lots of places. I don't know exactly where she's located. I did look at this, but I can't remember. Anyway, there's an entire article here about how to make gyms more accessible and workouts for people with various physical.
You could just take out the word gyms and put in any physical
Anything.
location.
Exactly.
I mean, I
Exactly.
appreciate that
And
they're targeting gyms, but this could be for anyone.
right. I don't really even know this bar bet. I was a little flummoxed. I'm not really sure whether there's anything for us to do with this.
Well, we're not being asked to do anything. I mean, it's sharing information is
It's sharing
fine.
information. It doesn't seem to me something that we would try to disseminate in any way or post on our site, our page, or anything like this. So
did any of you watch the Olympics or disability, people with
I
disabilities?
did watch a little bit of
A
the
little bit.
Paralympics.
Oh, I watched quite a bit. It was really
It-
fascinating.
It got
Yeah.
a lot more promotion this year than it ever has.
Yeah.
It was
Yes.
very good,
Yeah,
very good coverage.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
All right. So if we think there's really, I mean, this is informative, but I don't feel like there's something that we as the commission need to do with it. Right?
No,
Well, I don't know. Maybe, I mean, we are supposed to inform or advise the public. And oftentimes we take a reactive mode. So I don't know where we would know to begin to sort of vet out and endorse any one article over the other and then disseminate it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If we did this, why aren't we promoting other
exactly. Yeah,
articles that might be this might be informative maybe if somebody gets a permit to open a gym in town.
I don't think we can become a library
I mean,
for those articles.
yeah, I'm just not sure I see this as our role to promote this kind of thing because, right? It could be endless in theory.
I would agree.
If we're collecting, what are we going to look for this kind of info? There's stuff out there. I don't know. What do you think, Roger? I'm looking at your face.
I mean, I think that
You're pondering.
I'm just wondering what resource, and this is where we would lean on Jeffrey Dugan at Mass Office on Disability and Mike Kennedy at the Center for Living and Working, our local, I forget.
Center for
what the
Independent Living.
Yes, yes, Independent Living Center, Center for
Right.
Independent Living, or whatever. Is it ILC?
I think it's
So-
ILC. I think it's ILC.
Yeah, our local independent living center. And so this is where I think that rather than reinventing the wheel, if we had any questions on disseminating resources or links, or maybe even adding to our webpage that whole column about resources for, business owners, let's say. to retrofit or build accessible space. And then under that umbrella, it could be any space, having Mass Office on Disability and the Center for Living and Working weigh in on that.
Right, but I
You
mean,
know.
I'm just thinking of what we have on our page, which we have the, the architectural, the board, we already have that link.
Right.
I don't know that we would want to be in the business of saying, hey, if you want to open a restaurant, do this. If you want to open a gym, do this. I feel like that's
Well, here's the thing. No one's asking us for it.
right. It's
So
it was
just because
sort of
someone sent
FYI.
it to it doesn't mean we have to post it or disseminate or anything. I
No.
think the needs are so much bigger than one article. I think we can't chase down this stuff and put it on our agenda. We don't need this on our agenda. We have to really focus on other
Right.
things. Everyone who sends us an article thinks that we're going to post it. No, we
Right.
need to be more responsive to what people are asking us to do. No one's asking us to make a gym accessible or
Right.
information.
Right.
Right.
I totally agree. And
and
if they did, we'd try to be responsive.
Right. But I would agree with those comments. I would just say that there are a lot of people who don't necessarily exactly know what the scope of our work is, where it begins and where it ends. And so I would thank
Mhm.
Dave Robbins for sort of
Yeah.
catching an article which could have been of interest to us in the same way that I included the select board on the MOD newsletter. So
Mhm.
that's all.
Oh, I agree. And it's always good to acknowledge, even if there's no further
Mhm.
ask from him or any
Mhm.
follow-up, but to say thank you is definitely the polite
Right.
thing to do as a fellow commission colleague, volunteer in town. I agree. Let's be a
Right.
good neighbor.
Right. And I'm happy, it was something that was, I wanted to discuss it here because I was just a little unsure, like, what are we supposed to do with this? Because I agree with what you say, Christy. I don't.
Oh, so
we
do you
could-
want me to,
need to be
you
in the
want me to
business.
send a thank you, or Alexis, do you want to send a thank you?
I'm
or-
perfectly happy to send a thank
Okay.
you. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm perfectly happy to send the thank you. That is not a problem. Okay, back on this agenda is the MOD website, and I did raise the issue earlier that we were not listed as having a commission on disability. There is a form. I'm happy to do this form. I'm happy to reach out to the clerk's office and find out if they should do it. Roger, were you suggesting that that's already been done and nothing's coming?
I think I can kill two birds with one stone by in my email to Jeffrey Dugan about the municipal grants, to also call his attention to the fact that after all these years, we're still not listed, even though he's well aware of our presence. And so
Yes, but there's a particular form that needs to be
Right.
completed. Has that form recently been completed? That's what I'm asking. I am not aware of it.
I could
This
ask
is
him.
the actual link to the form.
Oh, there is. Okay.
Yeah, I put it in it's not live because this is a PDF, but I'm just happy. I went on, it's like, if you're not listed here and you want to be listed, fill out this form. So.
All right. I'll reach out to him and ask who he would expect that form from.
Right.
And then if anyone, it doesn't matter. I don't want to step on any toes. I'm not chair, but I'd be glad to fill it in if,
Yeah, it was pretty straightforward information. I feel like I could answer most of the,
Okay.
there are one or two questions that I,
Okay.
couldn't answer, but for sure, someone in the town's office could, the town clerk said,
What
somebody
type of
could answer.
question? What type of the questions were they?
Was this?
What's your social security number?
No, it wasn't even that. Well, let's see. Well, I get, no, I have to.
And your
I
bank
have to
account. Yeah.
go to the Word
Yeah.
doc. It had something to, I won't remember the exact wordage, but was the commission constituted under the regulation of blah, 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 blah? There was something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. The HA regulations and how we were constituted and,
something like that.
you know.
So that was just the one, I think that was probably the only piece of information that I didn't know myself.
Okay.
So I'm happy to follow up on this.
Okay, all right,
You know,
all right.
and if they say contact someone at MOD, then I'll tag you, Roger, to do that.
So who are you contacting then?
I'll just talk to the town, I'll start with the town clerk.
So the town,
Or
so is there any reason to believe that the town clerks are the go-to people to do this?
That is what the site suggests.
Oh,
So,
okay,
okay, so that's why I think it's like,
Gotcha.
there's actually a question, who's filling out this form? Are you the town clerk? Are you the chair of the committee? There's a question.
so do you want to reach out to the clerk and then get back to me and let me know?
Yeah,
And if
Yeah,
the
exactly.
clerk hasn't done this, I'm willing to do it.
Yeah, I'll follow up. I just was, curious about whether or not anybody was remembering that we had recently done it, because if there hasn't been an effort to get us onto the site, then we should make that effort.
Okay.
Okay.
So here I am, I've been finger pointing and it's really our role to reach out to them. Okay,
I think so.
right.
That's how I interpret it after I was
Okay.
digging around in the website.
Right.
Okay, quickly, because now, Paul, it's getting on time for those talking heads. All right, Grafton celebrates the holidays. I'm gonna add that, and I have one other new business item. But yes,
Who organizes that?
it's the recreation department.
Okay.
Should we reach out to Adam and say, what's going on, and have you started planning?
Yeah,
Let
we
me
can
go to
find
the
out.
website. Let me go to the website right now and I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's about that time, for sure.
Nope, it's not up. Oh yeah, it just has for the Grafton Recreation offerings with the brochure. There's a fall festival though, October 20th. Did everybody know about that?
No.
What day of the week is that?
That is Sunday, October 20th. Music, food, games at the Grafton Common, 11 to 2. But that looks like it's just for littles, presented by Grafton Children's Daycare and Preschool
Oh, yeah.
and Republic Plumbing Supply. But let me just go down the calendar because it only shows until September 21st. Let's see if I can go to December. So for December, wow, December 1st, it doesn't have anything. I thought it would say Grafton celebrates the holidays, to be
Is that the
honest.
first Sunday?
Yeah.
The first is the first Sunday.
So here's the thing, and maybe Tracy understands this too. We usually follow on Saturday, which is Millbury and Sutton. So usually Millbury and Sutton is Saturday, then we're Sunday. But Millbury and Sutton won't be doing it on November 30th because that is Thanksgiving weekend. 1, 2, 3, 4. Thanksgiving is the 28th. So maybe Grafton's going to be doing it the 8th instead. So it doesn't say anything on their calendar. Doesn't say anything. Just Grafton Rec. Yep. No, Grafton celebrates the holidays on their calendar. So. Do you want me to email Adam and ask him?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any, but it's just probably too early to post.
Yeah, the friendly, oh, here it is. I apologize. I did find it. Here it is.
Oh,
It's
do
under
you want to share
activities.
it? Why don't you show us what you're looking at?
All it says is Grafton celebrates the holidays December 8th.
Okay.
Does it say what
So
day of the week that is? That's a Saturday or a
Sunday.
Sunday?
Sunday.
Sunday. So
Always on a
The-
Sunday.
Okay.
the craft and vendor fair at the municipal center that they host every year is 10 to 2:30, 10 a.m. to 2:30.
So in what way can we contribute?
I think what we talked about last time was having some notation about whether each of the, there are like stops along there are various places you can go. There's a
Okay.
lot that happens on the common, but it's not the only place where stuff happens.
Okay,
It's whether it's accessible, just even noting on the flyer whether each of the stops along the that's what they used to call it, something like that, a frosty route. Because I think stuff happens, not just up on the common, but there's usually something at the town, the old town hall, maybe the country store does something.
maybe that's,
Church
maybe
does
the,
something.
yeah, maybe that
Apple Tree
school,
Arts often has a concert, there's a
Yes.
bunch of things that
Right.
happen. There's tree lighting, there's isn't there a hayride? There's Santa on the engine one. There's a lot of stuff that happens in the day. And it also happens to be football, which is what
that's right.
there's always a Sunday game that's happening at the same time.
How about indoor pause?
So I don't know that we necessarily wanted to exhibit. What I recall is our conversation was whether the information about each of the stops and each of the various little venues where things are happening, where we could know whether they were accessible or not, or have the people who want to do something as part of Grafton Celebrate the Holidays note if their thing is accessible.
Right.
Does that sound familiar to people?
It is familiar. I know that we, I think we kind of agreed that, correct me if I'm wrong, we kind of agreed at a high level that it was more on whether the activity was accessible, because, there are some venues where the activity may be accessible, but the bathrooms aren't, you know what I mean? Or, things of that nature that,
Yeah.
that
Right. I mean, I don't. Does the rec department have sort of an application or something that people have to complete if they want to be part of Grafton Celebrates the Holidays, like, the
Right.
the coffee and ice cream shop up at the Common? I'm pointing in that direction because that's where it is from my house. It's that way. If they want to say we're doing something, people have to be identified as being part of the celebration, right? One of the sites where Grafton
Right.
Celebrate the Holiday activity is happening. And do we want to ask Adam if he is asking people to indicate whether they are wheelchair accessible? Are they sensory friendly? Are they, there may be a couple of little things that could be checked off. This event is, made
think-
accessible in some way.
I think Adam, it would behoove him on his application, whether it's for the vendor or for the business, to ask them, how do you plan to make this event accessible for anyone with a disability? And then have them choose. I mean,
Right.
they could have, for example, handouts in large print available for someone with low vision. They
Right.
could have, they could make sure things are at different levels for different people. Again, we're not going to make everything accessible for everybody, but even just the consideration of it. I think one of the most accessible places in town of all places is the Willard Clock Museum. They
Mhm.
do an awesome job of making things accessible for anyone who comes to their venue, including
Mhm.
giving gloves to people who are blind and then letting them hold the clocks. Sometimes they get a better experience, right? So I think this is that conversation with Adam. Adam, we'd really like you to consider how you can make this event more accessible, and it starts at the front where people say they indicate that they want to participate in the event.
Right.
Sound good?
Well, I think there's probably a next step because it's September, and if there is a application process for vendors or businesses, it's going to happen soon.
Yeah.
Right? They've already picked the date, and I'm happy to send an email to Adam to see if this is something that he's thought about, started, and can we suggest that you include that question, describe the event, the address, who's in charge, how is your venue event activity, accessible.
I think they also need a statement, Alexis, at the
Yeah.
start of that application that says, we welcome people of all abilities to take part in this program and activity.
Yeah.
Please describe to us how they will make their venue or activity as accessible as possible for a wide range of users or guests or customers. I don't know.
Mhm. I'm writing this down, Christy.
Okay. And then he's going to run down to Tracy, and Tracy's going to say, oh yeah, that's great, Adam, this is how you do it.
Not to
So
put you on the
Tracy,
spot, Christy, but can
you'll
I
be the
also,
reinforcer. You'll be like, Adam, of course, this is what all towns do,
Right. Yeah, I think he's located right above my office, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he'll bang on
Conveniently
the floor and
located.
say, I'm coming. Here I come. I just
So
what
got
I'll
this
do
email
is
from
I will-
Alexis.
I will send him an email, but I'll CC everybody and
Yeah.
say, this came up at our meeting I'll do it tomorrow. This came up at our meeting last night. We're wondering, we'd like you to be, very forward thinking about
Proactive.
this
Let's be
Proactive.
proactive and welcoming.
and welcoming, and feel free to reach out to the commission if we can help you with language or anything related to this.
And I would just call attention to the committee that we will be observers on this conversation, and to be careful not to weigh in any serial fashion. The open meeting law is tricky. So, so it's just a matter of, and even you, Alexis, as chair, once everyone else is privy, or at least a quorum is privy to an email,
Mhm.
you need to be careful not to express an opinion in that email. It's more informational.
So why don't I just reach out to him by myself and I'll
Yeah,
follow.
it may be. It's
I don't, that's fine.
on another committee. On another committee, I personally got into trouble expressing an opinion, and it was shared with the rest of the committee, and so what happens is that it's probably a best practice that to stay clear of that. It may be best that you reach out solo.
Okay, and if he
Yeah.
has thoughts or questions or needs some assistance,
Yeah.
I'll send him to Christy. And not
Yeah.
the whole group.
Yeah.
Yeah,
please
I'll send him to
it me.
Christy because really,
Love to talk with him about it. Yeah.
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 And then I'm going to send him to Tracy. And then
Thanks. But we'll-
Tracy's going to send him to Paul.
But it will never be the commission.
We'll just all play tag. No,
Sounds
but
good.
but I really do want to. I think Adam's there. I
Oh,
think,
yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
I think for his sake politically, if he can say, no, this came from us
Mhm.
too, it just helps strengthen his case.
Yes.
So that he's not making unilateral decisions, but that we back him up on doing this.
Yeah. No, I agree. So I will do that. Put him on my to-do list for tomorrow.
And I had one new business item.
Okay.
the select board opened up the warrant tonight for the fall town meeting. And there's two components that I want to bring up. Tracy, did Bob Berger give you the contact information regarding the ASL interpreters in arranging that?
I can access his email and I am, in touch with him once in a while, so I can, so I would be the one arranging for town
He-
meeting?
Well, he had taken, as the ADA coordinator had volunteered, and he had been the point person.
Mhm.
Thus far. So he has all that contact information. He has, I don't know who they are, but they need a certain lead time. And based on alternating back and forth, they need two people. And so that
Mhm.
goes into having enough lead time for town meeting.
When is the town,
But,
when
but
is
can I
town
tell
meeting?
you?
Is it
But
the
can I tell
third?
you, Tracy? There's really, what we really need is the transcription. We need to use the live presentation mode for the slides, and it will the transcript of whatever is captured on the microphone will play across the screen.
Okay.
That's the other aspect that people fail to see, because no one really requests the sign language interpreters, and we have a difficult time getting interpreters because they won't play to an empty room. It's like playing air guitar. There's no point in being there because there's no one to sign for. So it's always a struggle. And what's more important truly is ensuring that the entire presentation from the whomever is speaking with all their the microphones are on, and whoever's speaking out in the audience, microphones are on. No one's talking without a microphone, so it gets picked up and it's played across the bottom of the screen as a live transcript.
So that hasn't happened? And that would be cable to have
No.
that setting?
So you're
No.
saying, Christy, that's
All you have to do
if someone's watching on TV, right? They're watching the
no,
cable.
this is live in the room. So
Like
every
cart,
time,
you mean like a cart reporter?
yeah, but I don't have it. All I do is I pull up the PowerPoint slides and I present live. No matter what, the closed caption comes up underneath. It is the simplest, most accessible thing I've ever seen. And I did it for faculty for all college day, and they were blown away that it was on. I said, yeah, all you have to do is hit the button, live presentation.
Okay.
That's
Christy,
all you have to do.
can I just clarify? So you're saying at town meeting,
Mhm.
right?
If they're using slides. 'cause
If
you
you're
go to the
using slides, then you
live,
as the presenter and you have a PowerPoint and it's being shown that what you're saying is
Yep.
live transcribed.
as long as you hit live presentation.
Right, but what about this situation? Because I know we've talked about this in the past when we've talked about having ASL interpreters at town meeting. The issue of it's not necessarily a presentation, there's no PowerPoint, but there's a discussion, there's questions, there's back and forth. If someone is hard of hearing and not a user of ASL, the ASL interpreter is not going to help that person if I lose my hearing at 60 and I've never learned ASL. CART reporting is accessible to as
Correct.
long as you can read, it's accessible to everyone.
Correct. And a lot of times people say, oh, I don't need the microphone. My voice is loud enough.
Yeah,
No,
that's
no,
bullshit.
you need the microphone. Right. So Tracy,
Not
this has been some of our attempts to make the meeting as accessible as possible. It's
Right.
and I think Bob was proud to say we had sign language interpreters. We never needed them.
Okay.
But that
So-
doesn't mean we don't have to address people who are hard of hearing.
If someone were to ask for it,
Yeah.
and because most sign language interpreters, when you put out the job, they'll say how many people. If
Mhm.
there's no one there, they're not going to take it.
Okay.
The other thing I had a question on is, Christie, is this an actual hard screen? Right now, we project things onto like a canvas, above. So this isn't an actual hard piece of hardware that is projecting this image.
No, it's
It's a-
AI. It's AI from the PowerPoint software.
So where is it projected on someone's tablet, or are they seeing it
No,
on
it
the?
goes right on the screen. So your slide takes the first 4/5 of the screen, and the bottom fifth is your transcription, whatever
So-
size you want it to
So
be.
it's a projection. The transcription is also a projection.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
coming right from your computer. So
It's not a
whatever's on your
smart board. It's not like a
computer
smart board.
is
It's
right
like,
on.
it's a
Yeah.
screen.
Gotcha.
Try it, Roger. So at your next meeting, or even if you're in your office, play a PowerPoint, put live transcription or live
Look.
slideshow, present live, and just start talking to it, and it should come up right across the bottom.
Oh, all right. I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that I'll pay attention to the warrant articles as they roll out to see if there might be something we would be meeting in advance of that town meeting anyway for October. We're meeting next on October 8th,
Mhm.
Tuesday. And town meeting is on, I just had it up, is Monday, October 21st. And so there might be some article to fund something or something. There's always a potential that there's an article we would want to weigh in on.
Mhm.
So I'll keep watch for that.
Okay, all right. Great. If nothing else on town meeting, the one new business item that I have is that I'm having day surgery on October 8th. So I will not be available for our meeting. Anybody want to share in my absence?
Catherine.
it?
Catherine.
Catherine,
All for
this is what
Catherine.
happens when you leave early. All right, Catherine did it last time, I'm sorry, it just got scheduled. So.
And if Catherine isn't able to, I can help along with
Okay.
this or even step
Yeah,
in her stead.
okay,
Especially,
I'll reach out to her and ask her, to do it, and I can easily pull the agenda together for her. Okay, and with that, I think. If there's no other new business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Okay.
Seconded.
Okay, thank you, Paul. All right, all in favor of adjourning? Roger
Aye.
Trahan,
Aye.
Tracy Sharkey. Aye, Paul Letourneau,
Aye.
Christy Proctor,
Aye.
and Alexis Henry, aye. Okay, we are adjourned.